So, hello. And let's welcome Jamie and Jia Xin, and they are actually the event organizers and the hosts for today as well. Okay, hi, yeah. So, and Ruoxi, and Ruoxi and Ziyue, they are the guests for today, the panelists today. So, okay, I will pass the stage to Jamie and Jia Xin to host today's session, and I'm really looking forward to today's session because it's the first time I go through the complete session with everyone. Okay, so I'll pass the mic to Jamie and Jia Xin. Okay, see you later.
Okay, thank you, Miss Betty. Now, yes. So good evening, everyone. So before we start our sharing session today, right, we would like to cover some housekeeping rules. Firstly, please be respectful in the live chat room. Any audience with inappropriate comments will be removed from the live event. And so now on to proper introductions after, basic housekeeping rules. I am Jamie from TJC.
And I'm Jia Xin, also from TJC, and we will be your host.
And we will be your host for today. For this evening's Miao Meets events, we will be looking at the topic of parent-child communication.
大家好，我是嘉欣。今天我会负责以华语概括我们所讨论的内容。我们这次讨论的话题是父母和孩子之间应该如何更好的沟通。
But what exactly is parent-child communication, and why is it so important? Well, it might seem cliche, but parent-child conflicts, especially between, teenagers like ourselves and, our parents, are actually quite common. And it's mostly because of misunderstandings and gaps in communication. Did you know that only 1 in 5 parents in Singapore experienced high levels of connectedness with their children? That is not a lot of people who feel very connected with their kids.
So what does communication actually mean? In the context of a family, communicating well means that family members such as the parents and children can talk about their thoughts and feelings in a manner that's positive and beneficial for their growth. What this means is that in order to have good communication, both parent and child must be respectful and empathetic to each other and know how to respond appropriately in situations.
So today we have invited 2 students from RGS to talk about how they deal with, talking to their parents about their friends and studies and, sharing just some of the experience they have with, communication issues or advice they have from talking to their parents. Now, our first panelist is Ruoxi, who is from RGS and in Sec 1. Ruoxi, what do you like to do for fun?
I normally listen to music and watch YouTube in my free time.
Our next panelist, Ziyue, is also from RGS Sec 1. So, Ziyue, what are some of your hobbies?
I like to read and watch Chinese dramas in my free time.
Now, let's have a quick fire round of 5 getting to know you questions to get to know our panelists better. Now, let's get started. First question. What is the first thing you would do if you had $1 million, but they were only in 5-cent coins and you can only use 5-cent coins to pay for it? Rosie, 10 seconds. What would you get? You can only use 5-cent coins.
5-cent coins? Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, 5-cent coins.
At first, I would think at first I want to invest in it.
And then
But we had to put in a bank, honestly. Buy a house for my parents.
We're wheeling in the buckets of 5 cents. Okay. And you, Ziyue?
I will probably go shopping and buy whatever that appeals to me.
With your buckets of 5 cents. Okay. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Second question. If you had a boyfriend or girlfriend now, would you tell your parents? Yes or no quickly? Ziyue, what's the answer?
It's too early to have one, but if I did have one, I still won't tell my parents.
Ruoxi?
I wouldn't either.
Oh man.
Okay, third question. Which country do you want to visit the most and why?
I would like
Ziyue?
to visit Korea. Yeah, because it's not far from Singapore and the street food looks really good.
Okay. And Rosie?
I don't really have a specific place I want to be, but I would prefer somewhere cold and near to the countryside.
Interesting.
Free aircon.
Okay, next question. If you found a kitten or puppy abandoned on the roadside, would you bring it home without asking your parents? Yes or no?
I wouldn't. I would tell my parents first.
Ziyue.
I think I will, but like I think my parents will make me return it to an animal shelter.
Oh, no.
no.
Okay, now on to the last question. Have you ever felt like that your parents don't understand what you mean
Yes.
when you talk to them?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, seems like you had fun answering the questions. And well, those were some small questions related to communication. And for now, we will be discussing some real life and more relatable scenarios.
Does this picture look familiar to the students out there? The stereotypical picture that our teachers like to find during the annual "stop using your handphone because you're addicted" talk. Well, if that was a yes, then what about this scenario? Xin-Yi was using her phone to take a break from studying. Her mother came into the room thinking that she had been using the phone all the while, and Xin-Yi's mother scolded her for slacking off her studies. Does this sound familiar to you guys, Ziyue and Ruoxi?
Yes, there were actually a few times when my parents entered my room without, like when I was like watching YouTube videos or using my phone, but I actually just started using it. Like it's just a coincidence. They just came in the moment I on my computer, and then I get told off for not doing my work and then using my phone for too long. But I understand why they do that because most of the times I actually start using my phone before I finish my work. But for like the few times where I did finish my work, it gets pretty annoying because I get misunderstood and get accused for something I didn't do. And I actually have a screen time on my phone, which is quite less actually, 45 minutes for all the apps I use. So my parents can track how long I use my phone. And they don't really have a reason to scold me if I have a screen time now. Yeah.
See then, Ziyue?
For me, I also have a screen time monitoring device, and my time limit is 2 hours. So, it's a function provided in settings, and furthermore, my dad also somehow hid like the app store from me, so I can't go and download any apps. Yeah, and sometimes it's very troublesome when I'm doing like projects and I'm calling on my phone. And because like the calling time also counts in the 2 hours. So after that, it's very annoying when I have to go ask my parents for more time. And usually they're like in meetings or not home. So I have to wait for them to get home.
Oh. But overall, it sounds like you guys don't really spend a lot of time on your phones. I mean, 2 hours, 45 minutes, that's like a fifth of my time. But Jia Xin, how long on average do you spend on your phone?
Oh my goodness, I feel like you just called me out there compared to the two girls who don't really spend much time on their phone. But
Yes, because
okay.
I cannot out myself. So
Oh
I will
well.
ask you
Okay.
instead.
Oh wow, okay. I guess since it's the holidays, right? Normally I spend around 8 hours on my handphone. I'm not the best role model out there with regards to handphone usage, you know.
But I mean, just for the holidays, do you use it a lot during the school year as well?
Yeah, I guess so because this year, especially with JC setting in, right? I use my phone not only to discuss like schoolwork, like project work or other things such as my CCA. I also use it for entertainment because like in my free time I like to watch YouTube videos a lot. So at first my parents were very concerned about me being on my phone all the time. But then they trust that I will be responsible enough to, watch in moderation so that I still finish my homework, and I actually do, so it's not that bad. And personally, I'm not the type that would sacrifice finishing homework just to do other things. So even if I spend a lot of time on my handphone, right, I will still find a way to finish my homework and ensure that it's of good quality.
Wow. I mean, but do you guys know of anyone who like had handphone addiction and how that affected them? Like your friends in school or someone you know?
I had a friend who was on Discord like a lot, and
Oh,
during
Discord.
recess, during recess she would like look at Discord instead of interacting with like us and her other classmates. So in the end, she became like more antisocial, and she
Oh.
would kind of like ignore us, but like talk to her online friends and like play the games on Discord. So it resulted in a drop of grades, and then her parents had to intervene.
Oh. Like they
That
took away
sounds
Discord or something?
serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, they banned it. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Okay, it seems like, there are different ends of the spectrum with regards to this issue. So, Jamie, what do you think parents can do to help kids?
With handphone addiction?
Yeah.
Well, from my standpoint, I mean, I'm also not great on my handphone usage timings as well. Mine are impressively high. But I don't think just scolding kids for using their handphone will work because, as students, we use our handphones for many different reasons. Like, to do work or, to just de-stress by watching YouTube videos to like escape the realities of homework. Or maybe just because equally valid that we are addicted to our handphones and we can't get off TikTok or Instagram. Yes, but I do think like that excessive handphone usage is a serious problem, especially with, us teenagers, because we're not the greatest examples of self-discipline or self-restraint. So I think parents should definitely step in the ways that they can to try and help moderate handphone usage. For example, by setting time limits or I guess some form of app blocking software, especially for younger students. Because when you get started on a handphone addiction, at a younger age, it's very hard to stop when you get older, speaking from some experience. Yeah, but as we do get older, it is not very realistic to set hard limits for phones because we do use it a lot for work, especially during COVID and all the FaceTiming and Google Meet. Like phone usage has increased a lot, not just because we're using it more for fun, but for work. And as I went to JC, like I found many of my JC friends also use their phones a lot to de-stress, and this unfortunately spirals also into some form of handphone addiction to varying degrees of severity. So I think parents like could help their children, or at least older children who are kind of on their handphone a lot, to find healthier ways to de-stress, like going out or playing sports, because I find that's the main reason why at least me and my friends use our phones a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like, even though there's COVID now and we might spend a lot of our time at home using our phones or watching TV, I think there's still a need to, find healthier ways to distress. Yeah, so I guess for a start, maybe I should also try to do something about my handphone usage. Yeah.
Like play
Okay.
basketball.
Oh yeah, yes, I can play basketball. Yes.
Mm.
All right, since we discussed quite a bit, in English, I'll just do a brief summary in Chinese first before we move on. Okay. 总的来说，我们得出的结论是，孩子在不同的成长阶段，使用手机的频率会不同，所以父母可以在孩子比较小、自制力没有那么强的时候，限制孩子使用手机的时间。可是，一旦孩子大了，这种硬性的限制可能没有那么管用，因为身为高中学生的我们，身边很多朋友都是以手机来疏解压力的。所以在这个阶段，父母或许能帮孩子找到更好的解压方法，比如出门散步、做运动等等。
Now, on to our next topic, time management conflicts. Have you ever wanted to visit Halloween Horror Nights with your friends? Well, what would be even worse is after planning the outing for weeks, realizing that you can't go out because you were banned because you didn't finish your homework. Now, let's look at this scenario. See, Ben has been procrastinating his homework for the past 2 days. However, he made plans to go out with his friends tomorrow since he has not seen them since COVID quarantine started. So what can he do? I mean, what would you do if you were Ben? Ziyue?
I would probably try to finish my work like today, but if that's not possible, I might try to return like early or something so that I still have a few hours left to finish my work.
Responsible. And Rosie?
I feel like this is actually the situation I'm in, except for the fact that I've been procrastinating for more than 2 days. Like in the case when it's like not on a school day, like during the holidays, I'm still allowed to go out even though I haven't finished my work. But my parents will still ask me to plan out like a timetable for like when I will finish my work and set a deadline for myself. My parents aren't that strict on my curfew, so as long as I promise to complete my work within an assigned time, I'm normally allowed to go out. But if this happened on a school day, I will definitely finish my work first.
Then, do you guys have, issues with procrastinating in general?
Yeah,
even during the school year?
Yeah, like during the school year, I will like tell myself that I can like watch a few minutes of YouTube and then go and do my work. But in the end, I end up finishing the whole video. So that leads to like me like wasting a lot of time on YouTube. So I need to like rush my homework in the few hours I have left. And in the end, some of my homework will have like careless mistakes and like have worse quality.
Then for me, mostly I can finish my school on time, but then if I talk about assignments and my revision for exams, that one normally ends up being done very late. Maybe assignments probably a few hours before the deadline, then revision maybe 1 week or a few days before the exam. And I think the reason why I normally procrastinate so much is because of WhatsApp. Then I'll text my friends a lot, and YouTube because I like watching YouTube a lot. And then I end up not having motivation to study at all. And for me, for this year, I found one method that helps me a lot to stop procrastinating that much is to kind of trick myself to think that I will study for 5 minutes. Then once I get started, normally I just continue and finish up my work. So I found out that the reason why I always don't finish my work that early is because I don't really have the motivation to start. So I feel like once I begin, I normally can finish my work. So this method has helped me a lot this year.
Do you guys go out with your friends a lot, like this year?
During the holidays, I've been going out quite a lot, maybe 3 to 4 times a week, which is quite a lot for me. Yeah. And I normally meet up with my primary school friends as well as my newly made friends like this in RGS.
And you too?
For me, I used to go out like moderately, but like now I don't go out a lot because of COVID, and like my parents are very paranoid, so like they don't really want me to go out. So but I still think that it is very important for students to go out, because if you're always cooped at home, it's very boring, and like going out is a very important way to de-stress and like forge stronger friendships with your friends. Yeah, but
have more fun
usually
together.
even when I go out, I will still have like a curfew. Like my parents don't want me to like stay out too late in case it's like dangerous or stuff. So like they want me to come home like before 8 usually.
Oh, that's pretty early. But I mean, yeah. Then, have you ever had conflicts with your parents over like going out too much?
For me, yes, because like I said, I've been going out quite a lot during the holidays. So at first, because I always ask for like a lot of time, like I'll probably spend like quite a lot of time outside home, going to my friend's house and coming home quite late. Then my parents think that I shouldn't go out that late because I will trouble others, especially like they will have to like plan dinner for us and everything. So they set a few rules for me to follow, which is one is to tell them, like message them, at least inform them I have reached my destination, and as well as reach home on time and tell them address and the phone numbers of my friends. But then there were like multiple times which I didn't really follow the rules. So that was one of the conflict. So my parents didn't want me to stay out that late anymore. Then for me, one way to avoid the conflicts is to be clear that I will finish my work. Like there were a few times that I didn't really finish my work before going out, but I still requested to go out. And another one is to try as much to follow the rules that they give. And then if I don't, just apologize and try not to give them much excuses because they'll just get more angry. Then when I do have conflicts with them, I just try not to argue because normally when I'm angry, I say something I don't mean and I get in more trouble. So I'll just pick a better time to chat with them about it.
Ah, I see. Then Jia Xin, since you're in JC, right? Do you go out more with your friends or like study more?
Okay, I think compared to secondary school, I've gone out lesser this year, partially because of COVID and also because of the fact that I have more commitments at school because I took up more things this year. So I guess like I only choose longer holidays to go out with my friends. But during that time, I also faced a similar problem as Ben in this scenario because I don't exactly plan my time well sometimes. So I end up having to rush like the work also. Yeah. But then I know that if I don't finish the homework in time, then I'll have to like face consequences, like getting scolded by my teachers or like even getting my parents getting informed about this and then I'll get into really deep trouble. Okay, but I avoid those consequences because I mean for me I would try my very best to finish my homework lah and I won't give myself excuses to not do it. So since the stakes are higher now, right, I also don't really want to do that. And before going out, I will determine whether my homework can be done with the remaining time I have. So if I cannot, then I would tell my friends first that I will just skip this time's outing and then go out next time because I'm sure that like all of us as JC students would also understand that sometimes it's really because really cannot finish your homework that's why you don't want to go out with your friends and not because like, oh, I don't like you, that's why I don't want to go out with you kind of thing. Yeah
I agree, especially in JC it gets so much harder to balance time, like balance spending time with your friends and studies, and both are like really important because at least like in JC friends are your support structure, especially during all the hard exam crunch times, right? Oh, you need to like rant to them about all the homework and revision. But then, and also in JC your studies essentially determine your future because A levels leads to your university grades. But then it's quite hard to strike a balance between both, so yeah.
Seems like all of us have sort of a common view on this issue, so I guess before moving on, right, I will just summarize this shortly in Chinese before we go on to the next scenario. 身为学生呢，我们觉得适当的和朋友出门是没有问题的，可是前提是孩子得自己清楚的知道自己是否能准时做完作业、复习功课等等。如果孩子和父母在这一方面起了冲突的时候，孩子先得自己反省，看自己是不是没有遵守和父母的约定，然后尽可能的避免说气话，等双方冷静之后再进行对话。
Now on to the next scenario. To all the students out there, does this grading scale look vaguely familiar, particularly to the Asian students out there? Well, have you ever been compared to someone who has better grades than you? Let's look at, this scenario. So Ashley has friends who are smarter than her, and her parents tend to compare their results. and actually feels like really stressed from it because she really studies hard and she feels that her parents do not see her efforts and don't care about her hard work because she didn't score high enough, or at least higher than her friends. How would you feel if you are compared to people who are smarter than you? Ruoxi?
I feel like if, like similar to Ashley, if I really put in a lot of effort to study hard and I'm compared to other students, I would feel very bad about myself, and I'll also be pretty angry if I heard such comments, especially from my parents. I actually feel that most parents don't actually mean to put us down when they compare us with other students or friends, but comparing actually makes us feel worse, especially if we didn't score well and we put in a lot of effort, and it might kind of worsen our relationship with our parents.
Ziyue?
I will also feel angry and sad because I feel like everyone is different and have their strengths and shortcomings, and my parents shouldn't compare me to others, especially if I'm trying my best already. And like I understand like parents might like compare me to like my peers to motivate me, but like Ruoxi, I feel like it'll just make me feel worse about myself. So I feel like parents should recognize their child's efforts instead of comparing them to someone else.
Have your parents ever compared you to other people?
My parents used to compare me to other people, but like in primary school, but like I and I also used to say like, oh, look at this person, why can she go out for so long and stuff like that. But like my mom and I both didn't like the comparing. Yeah, so like we just made a pact not to like do this kind of comparisons.
I see. That's a very good pact to make.
Okay, Jamie, this question is for you. Have you ever worked hard for an exam and not gotten a good grade?
Well, I mean, I have a lot of examples, so you gotta be more specific. I mean, but these examples only come in JC, yeah, because JC is full of exams like that. Because at least JC, or junior college, is a time where studying is no longer about how much you can memorize, but rather how much you understand. So your hard work in doing all the practice questions is kind of a bit less important than understanding the concepts in JC, because like the questions, like JC is tertiary level, right? So the questions they ask are quite complex. So at least for certain question types, right, or at least certain questions, you just rarely see them be repeated, and even more rarely you see content knowledge being repeatedly asked over and over again, at least certain content knowledge. Yeah, so for me, I have never been very good at math in general, but so far the brute force of just constant math practice had gotten me through secondary school A and E math. Yeah, but for JC, right, it did not matter how hard I practiced, during all the practice papers and such, because I did not really understand all the math concepts in JC. So it became very hard for me to answer questions that I did not directly practice for. And they like to trick students. So I failed the vast majority of my tests during the year. And yeah, that was quite demoralizing, to work so hard doing a lot of practices just to fail by a few marks. Yeah, it was not fun. So to anyone who has the same issue, I would advise to for you at least, to learn how to study smarter, not give up practicing entirely, but spend some of that time you would on a workbook to understand what you don't understand, because if not, then you'll be wasting a lot of time doing repeated questions and not getting results, and that gets very frustrating and demoralizing. So yeah.
I agree though, like JC math, there's like a huge difference with secondary school math in the sense that there's
Yeah.
way more real life questions. So brute force doesn't really work in JC.
Yeah.
That's why I also been trying to, like orient myself to getting used to the new questions. Yeah. Alright, let's go to the next question. This question is for everyone. So how would you want your parents to react if you have gotten a bad grade?
For me, I don't really like it when my parents comfort me and say stuff like, "You can do better next time," and yeah, it kind of just makes me feel worse after not scoring well. And then comparing me to others is also something I wouldn't really want. For me, currently, my parents, if I had a bad score, my parents would probably just talk to me about it and ask me why I didn't score that well. And I think one way to make them a bit less disappointed is to share with them what I have reflected so far and how I actually plan to do better in the future, and try to be as sincere as possible and take responsibility for my own studies.
How about you, Ziyue?
For me, I'm fine with like my parents comforting me, unlike Rossi, but like I would prefer if my parents didn't scold me like straight away, cause like at least not for the day I get back my results, cause like I'm really feeling like bad, and if you like scold me, I'll just feel worse. So like maybe like a few days later, you can like take a time and like go through the exam paper with me. Yeah.
I agree. I think my coping mechanism is also similar to Ziyue's one. So to summarize in Chinese before we move on, 父母往往会拿自己的孩子和别人家的孩子做比较，说别人家的孩子好，问自己家的孩子为什么不像他们那样。但是这么做会大大的打击孩子的自信心，甚至让亲子关系变得更糟。所以我们觉得呢，父母可以在孩子成绩不理想的时候，先倾听孩子的心声，听听他们想说什么，然后再一起想想如何在下次的考试中做得更好。
Well, for the most part of this evening, we have been asking for our panelists' responses. But do you guys have any questions for us about school, or and other things in general? Jia, Rosie?
What's it like in JC? Is it much more stressful?
Then what, secondary school?
Yeah.
I mean, from my experience, it gets more stressful. Like the jump from secondary school to JC is pretty large actually, because you have more work, more studies, and a very large balancing act between having time to hang out with your friends and then developing your portfolio to apply for university, and then in general just studies. Yeah, because in JC, right, it's the time, I mean, you just graduated secondary school and all of you don't really know each other. And 17-year-olds, it's like the time to make a lot of new friends and then go out for late dinners. Because, I mean, by that age, at least I'm allowed to stay up pretty late. So for this year, I mean, not so much, but I have like gone out with my friends pretty late, but that's quite few comparatively to my seniors. Yeah. And then, so you lose a lot of time from just hanging out with your friends because it's fun in the moment and you think that you can complete your work later, but you can't. Yeah. And studies also get a lot more difficult in JC as well because, after you finish O levels, right, there's one level higher than that, and that's A levels. So your studies just basically get like a lot more harder as well, which is kind of difficult to manage because, like, for JC, you need to take 3 subjects you're good at and then 1 completely opposite subject, which is, science versus arts. So that's the hard part. And then additionally, you have a bunch of CCA stuff. So to develop your portfolio to apply for university. So I joined multiple CCAs to, you know, develop my portfolio so that when I go to university interviews, I have more things to say and then more things in my portfolio, make it more likely that I can go to the course I want, basically. So yeah, it's a lot more stressful just because there are more things. But then you also learn how to juggle a lot better. So yeah. How was it for you, Jia Xin?
Okay, for me, I also find it more stressful than secondary school because, like, I would like to think that JC is like a outsized meal from secondary school. So it's like more jam-packed in the sense that the curriculum is more rigorous. So at the beginning, it's a bit like too much information and very hard to, take in all of it at once. So I guess a very useful thing to do before JC starts is to make sure that you have a good foundation of your content
Yeah.
knowledge from secondary school so that before going to JC you would be skilled enough to take at least still tackle the questions that you have somewhat seen before last time. Yeah, and there are also like a lot of opportunities available. So I mean, be brave and take those chances that you want to take. But then take note not to take up too many commitments because at the end you'll end up struggling and like
Yeah.
when you juggle and then you fail, it'll be really, really painful to have a lot on your plate. Any more questions?
Do you and your parents argue about like the time you spend on your phone / the time you sleep?
Okay, sometimes. Yeah, during exam season, yes. More about the time I sleep though than how much phone I use. Because on some days I sleep very late or very early, depending how you look at it, like from the hours of 1 to 2 a.m. Yeah, so then when I get caught, I I get scolded for sleeping so late. But then, yeah, it's because like I have to study, but then they want me to sleep, but I need to study. So then, I mean, we argue because like, yeah, because of that, and because I'm sleep deprived. So then I tend to snap back at them because I'm in a bad mood because I haven't gotten enough sleep. And then, yeah, and then we just argue a bit, and then I just hole up in my room and then don't talk to them. Yeah, but then yes, that is the cycle it takes. But then, I mean, I try not to do it because I know it's not good for me. But it's just during some seasons I have like no choice but to do it because work just piles up and I need to get all of these things done. So I mean, when that happens, I just lie about when I sleep, which is not a good thing. Or I just avoid the topic, so that no conflicts arise from my end. On my phone, okay, not so much, but they do take an issue with it, like scold me when I use it during family times, like like during dinner and like going out to restaurants when they when they want to talk to you and then you're just on your phone and like I get scolded. I mean, I deserve that one, so yeah. But in general, I use my phone a bit too much, so I know I do have issues with it, and I'm trying to sort that out. But yeah, we do argue about it on occasion, but I just try not to mention it in front of them so they don't get too mad about it and I snap back. Yeah.
And also, like, do you have any tips on how to get your homework done efficiently instead of procrastinating?
Okay, this really depends. I mean, at least for me, right? My work style is very odd. Okay, so for me, I get like super productive in very short periods of time. So like I can get like a bunch of homework done in like 1 to 2 hours, like a whole maybe 2 days, 3 days worth. If I have the very productive 2 to 3, 4 hours, I can like get it all done one shot. But it's really hard to get into that like productivity zone for me because that zone happens from the hours of 11 p.m. to 2 a.m., which is another reason why I sleep at 2 a.m. And that is not a good idea because school starts at 7:30. So yeah, that's not great. And then like the free time when you're supposed to study, which is the afternoon, is like my least productive time. I could just kind of waste away in the afternoon, like take naps, not do work and stuff like that. Yeah. So for me, it's a bit, very specific. Yeah. And I mean, the way like at least I try to motivate myself to do work is by doing the subjects like I like to do to start like low-hanging fruit, to get myself into the zone and then move on to doing harder subjects. So I don't really get demoralized very fast. Yeah. So I don't really have, a timetable time of when I'm supposed to do my subjects. Like I don't like time, from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. I'm supposed to do 1 hour of chemistry or science or something. Yeah, no, I just have like a list of tasks I need to complete by the end of the day. And then in my head, I just kind of like time it out and then sort out my timings depending on how I'm feeling and how much I think I can get done. Yeah, but that's just me. Jia Xin, how about you?
Okay, I think I'm really different from Jamie in the sense that I'm not the very like efficient sort. So for me, I'm more of the like slow thinker type. So like that what that entails is that for me, I spend a lot of time on like one piece of homework, which isn't really a good thing because sometimes I just can't move on from a difficult question. So I just keep staring at a question that I don't know. And then that ends up in me like wasting a lot of time from there. Yeah, but then with regards to, time management and ensuring that I finish homework ahead of the deadline, right? What I do is that I make a to-do list with all the deadlines. So it creates a sense of urgency wherever I like open the app and then I see like, oh, this thing is due next Monday and then I've got to do it, soon or else I'll be dead kind of thing. Yeah, and then I also use a calendar, which is super effective and like useful given like in JC I have like a lot of different activities that I'm in. So then no, the calendar really helps me to make sure that events don't conflict and then greater troubles happen. Yeah, and I guess even with all these things, right, sometimes you will be in a productivity slump no matter what. So I guess at that point in time can do like what Ruoxi shared earlier to tell yourself to try doing work for like 5 minutes or like get started on working on small tasks. No matter how small it is, just start on something and then at least completing it later on can give you a sense of accomplishment that hopefully will help you overcome that bad feeling of not being able to do anything and feeling paralyzed. Yeah.
But procrastination is a constant struggle even as you get older. Oh, I sound so old, but I'm not. Okay. So the most you can do is, develop good habits when you're younger and figure out your work style and hope your work style is not from the hours of 1 to 2 a.m. Yeah, that's not good. Okay, so from Miao's WeChat group, right, we gathered a few questions before this discussion. Yeah.
Okay, so the first question that we got kind of goes back to the handphone usage scenario that we shared just now. So like some parents were concerned that their children are using too much of their phones. And I guess to recap on what we shared just now, what parents can do is to, talk to the kids and then see if they need or want help to help, curb their handphone usage. And in the case that parents want to set a limit, do talk to a child about it so that both parent and child are okay with the limit and before you actually set the time limit. Yeah, and it's very important that kids also abide by it like at their own will. So it's not like the parent like saying like, hey, you must do this or else things will be bad, kind of forcing them to abide by the time limit. So in a sense it's a bit like Ziyue and Ruoxi's situation. So talk to your child about how much time they need on their phone and versus how much time they want on their phone for say things like entertainment. Yeah. Next question.
Then second question we got was addiction to playing games, like children playing games non-stop without moderation. So I mean, I don't game a lot, but I have friends who game a lot. So I mean, some children, especially boys, particularly boys, game because like it's it's fun, and they find many friends online, or at least most of their friends game. So I mean, especially boys, they tend to game a lot more. Yeah, but uh, like I mean, I only know dudes who game, so I'm just being very biased right now. But yeah, dudes game for like a lot of different reasons. Be it to de-stress or to socialize, or just to have fun. Yeah, so it kind of depends on like why they're gaming. Are they gaming just to hang out with their friends till like 1 a.m., which is kind of not a really good thing, or are they like gaming to because like everything is really stressful? Yeah, so it really depends on like why they're gaming, and then it depends on then how do you want to approach it, because let's say it's something about like they're feeling super stressed, so then they game to de-stress, right? Then maybe like as a parent you could help them find other ways to de-stress, like playing sports is a great way to de-stress. But then like if they're playing like to socialize, that's also like quite important, because especially nowadays we can't really meet up face to face with people because of all the restrictions. Yeah, but if they're gaming like way too much, then that's probably a time where you sit down and like talk about why they're gaming, and see if you can do anything to help about it. Yeah.
Okay, the next question that we got, all right, some parents also asked about whether there's a fine line, between, making friends or infatuation, especially between friends of different gender. Okay, so I mean, like for me, right? I've been in a mixed school since like primary school, so I guess I mean that is inevitable that I talk to friends of a different gender, and for this, I guess it applies to older children like me and Jamie who are in JC right now. Whereby parents might worry that their child is being too close with their friend of an opposite gender. Yeah.
I mean, okay, so JC is a mixed school, so it's inevitable. It's like you cannot stop. You cannot not have male friends. You will for sure make friends who are of the opposite gender, and it's an okay thing, because you might not necessarily like them in a romantic way, but you might like them because they're a really nice person, but not because you like them. Yeah. So having, male friends, or I guess female friends if you're a guy, is not equal to, wanting to date them, or like being very interested with them. Like two people of the opposite gender can yet purely be friends. And I mean, this helps like expand your experiences and, broaden your point of view, because you understand how to interact with people of another gender without thinking of romance all the time, because that's kind of ruinous to any normal friendship in general. It gets kind of weird. Yeah, so I mean, just because they seem to like each other because they're close doesn't necessarily mean that your child, or I guess children, want to date them. Yeah. But I mean, in all honesty, sometimes when people are very close friends, they do kind of catch feelings, and sometimes crushes can develop. But I think in like for the vast majority of people in like, at least in like mixed schools where we have male friends, or I guess female friends, we generally don't find a lot of infatuations in general, because like when you get to know them, you just think of them as a friend. Yeah.
I think it's a really subjective thing. So I don't think we can give a very conclusive conclusion here. But I guess I mean, to summarize, it's kind of inevitable. So it's really on a case by case basis. And okay, with that we have come to an end to our discussion. So Jamie, what do you learn from listening to our panelists?
Well, firstly, I mean, growing up sounds hard, man. And it's almost impossible to not have some form of communication issues, like with your parents, be it like direct conflicts, or just becoming more like distance from them, and like, not really talking to them as much anymore. Yeah, but I mean, one thing I would like to say about like two parents about communicating with your child is to like is to be patient. Because growing up and slowly learning to be an adult, is difficult, as I am finding out. And we all have our bad days full of, teenage angst. So the best thing I think a parent can do is try to understand and give us space, because another part about learning to grow up is making mistakes. And as much as I don't like to face the consequences for dumb decisions or decisions in general I make, it's a part of the learning process. Yeah, so coddling your teenager is not the way to go. Yeah, and another thing is, talk to your child directly to find a middle ground on things you don't agree on, even if you're not used to treating your child like a semi-adult. Be open and direct about things you do not agree on, instead of making assumptions about what they would think. That way, I think, at least in my experience, there will be less misunderstandings, which I think is something we all want with our parents.
For students, right, to the students who feel like their parents don't understand them, do realize that your parents have your interests at heart, and sometimes it might be just that you don't see it. Your parents are here to help you grow and learn with you at the same time. So, do talk to them and communicate with them to see how, they can help you better in your journey. And a very important point to note is that, you need to be rational at times. Sometimes talking can evolve into heated discussions or even quarrels, but being too emotional can make it difficult for you and your parents to understand each other. So, at this kind of scenarios, do try to be rational. If not, it will become a very hurtful personal attack. Ruoxi and Ziyue, do you have anything to say?
I agree with what Jia Xin said, because for me, whenever I have arguments with my parents, and then if I get angry, and then I just say some very irrational stuff, and then it just doesn't really make sense, and it kind of just makes both of us just more angry. So I should definitely try not to say so much when I'm angry. Yeah.
For me, I think overall, just communicate more with your parents, because like what Jia Xin and Jamie said, they want the best for you. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for your concluding remarks. And okay, before we end, let me just do a very short summary in Chinese. 孩子和父母之间起摩擦和小冲突是正常的，可是身为孩子的我们都希望父母能多理解我们，而我们在成长的过程中往往会犯错，父母应该是时候的放手，让我们承担后果后由此成长。身为孩子的我们也得意识到，父母的一举一动往往都是为了我们好，他们也想要我们成长，并在这个过程中与我们一起学习。但是如果孩子和父母之间起了一些沟通方面的问题，双方都得尽可能的理智应对，否则说出来的气话可能会很伤人。
To conclude, parent-child communication is a real issue, especially for, growing teens, and both sides should do their best to be understanding of each other. We hope that you have gained a better insight about how to talk to your parents or kids, and we hope to see you in the next Miao Meets. We would like to give a big thank you to our panelists and Miao Academy. Until next time, I have been Jamie, and this has been Ruoxi, Ziyue, and Jia Xin. And thank you so much for coming. I would like to invite Miss Betty back on stage to share more about Miao Academy. Miss Betty, please.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Jamie, Xin. Thank you, Ruoxi. And thank you very much, Ziyue, for the sharing today. As a young parent myself, I have really learned a lot about what my kids might think in the future. Yeah, thank you very much for the sharing today. And I hope the people, all the students and the parents in the live chat room have also learned something from the panelists today as well. And yeah, and after that, I will be sharing a little bit about Miao Academy, and I will just thank you very much and have a rest first. Okay. So
Yo.
Okay, welcome to Miao Academy, and I'm Betty. So in the past, I have always been sharing in English, and today I'm going to introduce Miao Academy in Chinese. So Miao Academy 是一家专注于人工智能的在线教育公司，然后我们主要是专注于提供数学和科学的在线学习，然后我们是由微软的 BeSpark、亚马逊的 AdStart， 还有新加坡国立大学 School of Computing 孵化的。同时呢，我们也是多次受邀参加了新加坡 EduLab 项目。OK， 然后我们主要呢是有2个核心的产品。刚才的视频呢，其实放的是 Miao Messenger Bot， 然后我们的主产品呢其实是 Miao Math App， 然后帮助学生去进行拍照搜索一些相关的学习内容，然后在2秒内推送他们相关的学习的题目啊、答案啊，包括这些题目背后的一些知识点。至今呢，我们有超过23万的学生注册了我们的平台，然后现在呢，我们主要提供的是数学方面的一个知识图谱和知识的题库，然后在未来的话，我们会推出全方位的所有的 science 课程，包括生物、物理和化学，帮助13到18岁的学生学习数学和科学知识。其实我们现在呢，除了在主产品上，我们也非常 care about the student communication， 就是说我们也是在之前我们就开始了 Miao Meet 这个项目，只是以前是通过 blogging 的方式，就是写文章的方式来去采访一些有学生关于数学和科学方面的一些生活中的应用。OK， 然后除了在 Miao Meet 的板块呢，其实我们是也推出了 Miao Ecosystem， 而这个板块呢，主要是对于那一些学习成绩非常优异的学生，他们能够去contribute their knowledge， 就是说当他们在数学科学上面的一些很好的知识的 tips 能够贡献给 Miao 这样的一个搜索引擎，就是自动的一个搜索引擎背后的知识点，其实是由这上面的这些学生来去contribute 出来的，里面包括 Diana C， 他曾经荣获了 Breakthrough Junior Challenge， 全球每年只有1到2个学生能够拿到 Zuckerberg Foundation 价值a quarter million 大概25万美金的这样的一个 bond free scholarship。 OK， 然后 Darren 和 Xin 他们其实是PSA scholar， 然后其他人呢也是either是 EDB scholarship 或者是任何应该都是有拿过政府的 scholarship 的成绩非常优异的学生。现在呢，我们也是推出了 Miao Meet Live 的板块，因为我们发现在除了去做 blogging 的记录，我们也很想要有更多的互动，让学生们之间能够有更好的交流，然后现场他们也可以去提问反馈一些问题。这以上的3个活动呢，是我们曾经在10月和11月做的3期的 Miao Meet 的一些学生 focus 的活动，而在最近呢，我们也是有做了一个 Miao Meet Experts 这样的一个活动。OK，其实这上面呢是我们的一些 partnerships 和 scholars和我们的 incubations。 OK， 然后我们也是曾经参加过蛮多的在to B 方面的一些活动的，包括 MOE 的活动啊，包括代表新加坡参赛拿到了亚太的创业公司的最佳创业公司的银奖。OK， 这里我就不是多去提了，占用大家的时间。然后这里呢也是我们曾经有的一些媒体报道。然后今天呢，其实我会给大家讲 Miao Course 的这个板块，这也是我们在今年的时候花比较多的时间去推出的。OK， 在这个板块上呢，我们其实是主要是由 Dr. 张荣丽他来做一个全方位的负责 Miao Course 这个板块。他呢本身是统计系的博士，然后非常重要的是他其实孩子是由他自己辅导的，所以曾经呢他的孩子在 O level 的 A Maths 和 E Maths 上都取得了全部都是 A1 的成绩 ，OK。然后 Mr. E 他其实是前新加坡的国会议员，然后他呢也是 Asan Learn 的创始人，然后最后把他自己创办的 Asan Learn 给成功的卖出了，然后他其实算是新加坡的第一代 EduTech 的 Pioneer Generations， 然后给了我们在education 方面有很多的指导 ，OK。然后我本身呢是University of Pennsylvania 的Computing 的硕士 ，OK。然后也是新加坡国立大学的计量金融专业的荣誉本科学位 ，OK。在我们这个板块上呢，其实我们看重的不仅仅是课上，而是一个全方位的这样一个 5-step cycle 这样子的一个offering， OK。包括课前我们有去根据学生的内容去进行一些提问，而制定一些更适合当堂课的学生的一些内容。然后课中呢，我们也会有实时的小考察来检验学生对知识点的掌握。课后我们非常看重学生他们在课后习题上的表现和给他们的作业进行非常详细的批改，来对他们的学习能力进行反馈。然后当他们在考试前呢，也是可以无限的回看整个课程的全方位的内容的。而在明年呢，我们会在 Miao App 和 Miao Bot 上面做全新的升级，来辅助课上的所有的内容。这个呢也是我们现在的使用平台的一些screenshots， OK， 包括是当堂课的一些performance 反馈和课后的作业批改系统。然后我们现在也储备了近5年的 E-Maths 和 A-Maths 的所有的详细的视频解析past year paper 的视频解析，然后预计是在明年头的话会完成近10年的所有 paper 的视频解析。OK， 然后现在呢，我们主要是由这3位老师来去任课。Mr. Lin 他有25年以上的教学经验，有包括在 MOE 里教书，也有在EM Poly 里面担任讲师，所以他是非常非常有经验的老师。然后Mr. Kai Xin 他非常非常非常的擅长去讲细 topic， 所以其实如果你有去参考我们公开的 Kai Xin 他讲课的视频的话，你就能够发现他对于每个课题如何去讲到更透彻，对于学生帮助更大的话，他是有非常好的个人的理解的。然后陈信呢，他非常擅长解题，所以他在每一道题上面他有花心思去思考如何能够更快速的解题，或者是有多种方法去讲解各种题目 OK。 然后这是我们现在 Miao Course 出来的 scheduling， 所以其实我们针对于中1到中4每一期只推出了1个课现在，所以它其实是限量的。对，然后在最近呢，我们也是有给一个年终的 offering， 有 20% off。OK， 对于明年的一整年的 cost 有 20% off， 然后在最近2天有一个 special code， 就可以单独的扣30，然后有更多的细节的话，我们其实后面 Rachel 应该会在我们的微信群和 Telegram 群里面去进行公布。OK， 然后现在呢也是年底了，然后也希望大家更轻松的度过接下来的2周的时间。然后我们这里协同Miao Academy， 代表 Miao Academy 预祝大家 Merry Christmas and Happy New Year。然后让我请上今天的4位，我们的阿可 Hi everyone. Oh, sorry. Okay, I think Ruoxi is off stage now. So yeah, just to say bye to everyone. Okay, hello, Jamie. Sorry, I think he didn't know that I'm calling. Okay, so yeah, so bye bye everyone. Just to say bye and have a nice evening and have a great weekend. Yeah, okay. Bye bye everyone, and let's give them a big round of applause to thank all the speakers today for this wonderful sharing. And Jamie and Jia Xin has been preparing this event for quite a long time. Yeah, thanks a lot for all the effort. Yeah, and bye bye, and thank you everyone. Yeah, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank
after that, we
you.
will summarize today's content and share in the Miao Academy, the 公众号 as well. So yeah, any question, just feel free to ask us in the WeChat group or Telegram group. Bye bye. Okay, we are going to close. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye.